All right, so now we have a whole lot of prints to pick out from to create our card. So I'm gonna make one card with one of the 3D or the embossing folder backgrounds. I'm gonna make one card with texture paste on the front, one card with a jelly print background with a die cut, and then one card where we die cut some of the jelly prints. So I need to pick 4 different ones out, and I think I'm gonna use this one for the 3D for the folder. And I think I'm gonna do this background here, which is the plain texture paste. This one here, no, I'm gonna do the one with the embossing glaze on top of it. So I think that would look kind of cool with this here on the background. It's great to have so much selection, but it also makes it hard to select so many different ones. So for the one with the die cut, I think the one that I like this card here, so I think I'm gonna do one of the jelly prints on the the Diane Reevely Dilutions journal, because it looks kind of like ocean water to me. So I'm gonna use this one for that. So that is already prepped. And then I need something for this one here. Now, which one to print? I think I'm gonna do this one here, and I'm gonna do it very similar to this. I'm gonna use the jelly print that has that leafy background on it, if I can find it in our stack. And then I also want to pick out a jelly print in order to die cut. I think I'm gonna use that one for die cutting the bird. I'm actually gonna use this one instead. I like this one's got a little bit more dark. There's a little bit more definition between the darks and the lights. And now that leafy print, where is it? There we are. It's a little bit more splotchy than the one that I did the other day, but that is okay. So we've got our 4 prints here that we're going to use. This one I don't need to prep it other than cutting it down, so that one is good this way. These 2 here, these 3 here, I need to prep them. So let's move this stuff out of the way. And let me show you how I prep them. So I've got my 3 prints here, and I'm gonna get 3 pieces of cardstock here. Now these are cut, they're a quarter sheet of an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So they are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm going to cut this down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I want to have more of the bottom side here with a darker print. So I'm cutting these at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. They're going to be glued to the cardstock. And then when I go to use them for my cards, I'm actually going to cut them down a 1/4 inch further, so they are 4 by 5 1/4. I'm making them a little bit bigger to glue on to the cardstock so that I have a little bit of leeway. If it happens to glue on just a little bit off, I have some space to trim down. I think I'm going to make my bird one on the lighter side of this one here. So there we go. Let's move the trimmer out of the way and get rid of my scraps here. These you could, some of them you could keep to use for other projects. I'm going to just toss them for right now. I've got some collage medium and a collage brush. And this is just a piece of tape backing. And I'm going to put my cardstock piece down, add the collage glue, and then I'm going to glue them together, and then they need to sit and dry. So the glue has to be completely dried before we go to the next step. So I hold it in the center so that it doesn't move, and then just brush my glue on. Press it down firmly so that it is glued in place, and then set it aside to dry. And then do that for the other two. Now you want to make sure that this brush gets dried or gets cleaned right away after doing this. We don't want that glue to dry in the brush at all, because you'll ruin your brush. So see there, it's a little bit off. Now my glue is still wet, I can shift it, but that's what I mean. I want to make sure that I have just a little bit extra room so that I can trim it down. It's always nice having that little extra bit for insurance. Now you'll notice I put my piece in the same spot, and that was just so that it didn't I didn't dip it into the wet glue or get glue onto the back of it, to try be a little bit neater. All right, I'm going to let those completely dry, close up my glue, clean up the glue out of my collage brush, and we'll be back to make the card with the embossing folder background first. I'll see you then.